Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Myself Sandhya, I am from SVCE. Before getting to the topic, I request everyone to like, share and subscribe my channel. In today's session, we are going to discuss about the comparison between the OSI model and the IP model. The OSI, which stands for Open System Interconnection Model, and IP stands for Internet Protocol. These OSI and IP, these two models are the two different frameworks that helps in understanding and implementing network communication protocols. And let's compare these two in details. First, let's compare with the purpose. The purpose of the OSI model versus the Internet Protocol. The OSI model purpose is it's a conceptual framework developed by the International Organization for Standardization, which is ISO, to standardize and guide the design and understanding of network protocols and communication. And it's a theoretical model. With the purpose of the Internet Protocol, it's a real world protocol suite that is used for actual data transmission over networks, especially the internet. It's practical protocol for routing packets of data between devices. And the layers. The layers between the OSI model and the internet protocol. Like comparison between the OSI and internet protocol. With the layers of the OSI model, it consists of 7 layers and each with its specific functions and responsibilities. The 7 layers of the OSI model are physical, data link, network, transport, session, presentation, and application. With the layers of the Internet Protocol, it operates at network layer, which is at the layer 3 in the OSI model, and it provides the addressing and routing functions necessary for data to travel across networks. And the comparison of OSI model and Internet Protocol of the scope. The scope of the OSI model is a generic framework and doesn't prescribe specific protocols. Instead, it defines the roles and responsibilities of each layer, allowing different protocols to be developed for each layer. And the scope of the Internet Protocol is a specific protocol suite which is used for addressing and routing packets in network communication, and it includes IP version 4 and IP version 6 for addressing, as well as ICMP, which is an Internet Control Message Protocol for network management. And the functions, the OSI model functions it each layer of the OSI model as a specific function. For example, the transport layer, which is layer 4, is responsible for end-to-end communication and error detection or recovery, while the network layer 3 handles addressing and routing. With the Internet Protocol, IP's primary function is to route data packets from the source to the destination based on the IP addresses. It doesn't handle issues like error recovery, which is left to the higher layer protocols like TCP, which stands for Transmission Control Protocol. And the versions of the OSI model and the Internet Protocol is the OSI model. There is only one OSI model and it remains consistent across all networking technologies. Where in the Internet Protocol, there are two main versions of the IP in widespread use, and the Internet Protocol has the two versions, which is IP version 4 and IP version 6, where the IP version 4 is the older and more commonly used version, while the IP version 6 was developed to address IP version 4's address exhaustion issues. And the addressing of the OSI model and the Internet Protocol, where the addressing of the OSI model doesn't define specific addressing schemes, while the Internet Protocol uses IP addresses to identify devices on a network. IP version 4 uses 32-bit addresses while IP version 6 uses 128-bit addresses to accommodate more devices and provide better address allocation. And these are the applications of the OSI model, which is physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport, session, presentation, and application layers. These are the 7 layers of the OSI model. And let's discuss about the OSI model. Where the OSI model, it's a open system interconnection which is developed by the ISO, and it's totally theoretical model, and it's a connecting open system which has a 7 layer models, and each layer has a well defined function, and the model was never implemented. As you can see, that OSI model is a conceptual framework that defines how different networking protocols interacts and communicates in layered manner. As you can see, it has a different 7 layers with a specific function, and let's briefly overview of the each layer. And these are the 7 layers with the examples like how it's used and how the specific functions of the each layer. Like you can see the physical layer, data link layer, network, transport, session, presentation, application, with the application as a network process of application. Like this, there are different layer which has a different functions with specific. And the application layer, it, this is the topmost layer that deals with the application level protocols and user interfaces. Examples of the protocols in this layer includes HTTP, FTP and SMTP. With the presentation layer, which is a layer 6, which is the responsible for data translation, encryption and compression. It ensures the data is presented in format that the application layer can understand. Where the fifth layer is the session layer, which manages and controls sessions or connections between the applications on different devices. It handles session establishment, maintenance and termination. And the fourth layer is transport layer, which provides an end-to-end communication between the devices. It ensures the data reliability, flow control, and error detection and correction. Protocols like TCP and UDP operate in this layer. Where the network layer, which is a third layer, is responsible for logical addressing, routing, and forwarding of data packets. Where the internet protocol is the primary protocol used in this layer. And the data link layer, second layer, which handles the physical addressing of devices and the local network segment, and it also provides error detection and correction at the local level. Ethernet and Wi-Fi operate in this layer. And the first layer is physical layer, which deals with physical medium and hardware components of the network, such as cables, switches, and network interface cards. Next, we discuss about the internet protocol. And before that, like now studied about the layers of the OSI model, where we see that application, presentation, session, transport, network, data link, physical. To overview about these layer, the application layer which enable users to access network, and in the presentation layer it translates, encrypts and compresses data, where in the session layer it create, terminate and manages the session, while in the transport layer it manages delivery and error checking of packets. The network identifies the shortest path where the data link is packed into a frames, while the physical layer forms a physical medium for data. Okay, now let's see on the internet protocol. Where the internet protocol, it's a transmission control protocol or the IP internet protocol. and it is a Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. It has four or five layers and it has a large collection of protocols. It's the most used model for networking, which defines set of rules for communicating over internet. These are the overview of the IP model, and let's see it's a protocol suite which is used for routing packets of data from the source to the destination across networks, including the global internet. There are the two main versions of the internet protocol, which is IP version 4 and IP version 6. Here you can see the diagram of the OSI model and the internet protocol, how it differs from OSI model. And this is the diagram, which is consists of layers. And let us have a look on the versions IP version 4 and IP version 6. Where in the IP version 4, this version uses 32 bit addresses and it's most widely used IP version, where IP version 4 addresses are represented as 4 decimal numbers which is separated by dots. Here you can see the example. But in the IP version 6, it developed address IP version 4 addresses exhaustion issues, and the IP version 6 uses 128-bit addresses. Here you can see the difference between the differ from the IP version 4 and IP version 6, where the IP version 4 is 32-bit address while the IP version 6 is 128-bit addresses, and the IP version 6 which provides a vastly larger address space, and the IP version 6 addresses are represented as 8 groups of hexadecimal digits were separated by colons. Here you can see that IP version 4 which is represented as 4 decimal numbers, and here the IP version 6 is represented as 8 groups of hexadecimal digits. In IP version 4 it has 4 decimal, and in the IP version 6 it has 8 groups of hexadecimal digits, and version 4 is separated by dots but version 6 is separated by colons. Here you can notice the differences. And as for the layers of the TCP or IP model, those are the application, transport, internet, data link and physical layers. The application layer which enables user to access the network, and the transport which manage delivery and error checking of packets, while the internet identifies the shortest path, and the data link which packed into frames physical forms a physical medium for delivery. And this is the comparison diagram of the illustration the relationship between the OSI model and the internet protocol. Here you can see the differences of the diagrams of the network models of the OSI model and TCP model. Hope you all understood this topic. Please do like, share and subscribe my channel and support me this. Thank you so much.